Hail, good viewers and listeners in. Today I'm going to be talking about the Rise of the Horde update. More specifically, the new skill cards that came along with it. You're probably thinking, but old Cyril, Rise of the Horde came out 2 fucking weeks ago. Why are you posting this video now? Well, Mr. Asshole, I wanted to try out the cards thoroughly before making any recommendations. On top of that, I don't exactly have much time to work on this shit. Do you have any idea how much old people sleep? If I don't get my 23.5 hours, I'm cranky all day. So a quick high-level overview. The new cards all suck. Well, most of them do. There are a few really good ones, but the majority are either shit or just aren't as good as the existing cards, so they're a waste of time. Which are the studs and which are the duds, you ask? Well, let's dive right in and find out! Post-haste! Starting with the soldiers cards. The assault rifle accuracy only happens when you're in cover, which makes it kind of a niche card. It's not always effective like the active reload boost, magazine, and capacity cards, not to mention the rifle damage card. I'd say you're better off taking the cover boost card instead. The grenade resupply card would be helpful if you were playing the grenadier type of role for the soldier. Siphon, on the other hand, is pretty useless because it's really only ever going to kill balls, monkeys, and maybe a few chappies, so the 5% extra damage or even the maxed out card won't be all that helpful. The sniper. Now these cards are useful. If you watched my Anything Goes video, you'll know how I feel about one of these cards, but let's start off with Steady Hand. I would say that is pretty useful for a sniper given how important accuracy is. Now on to my favorite card, not just of this update, but in the whole game. Cold Shot. It affects everything you mark, not just stuff that you're shooting. If you want to know why I like it so much, just watch my Anything Goes video. As for Magic Bullet, I didn't get that card, so I can't really talk about it, but it looks like it would have its uses, especially if you're really good at headshots. The Engineer's cards are similarly decent, but none of them are really standouts. Flow is alright because it'll keep you alive when you're doing your job, and normally Engineers will be repairing. The only downside is it doesn't protect you when you're moving between fortifications. Overclock would be pretty useless. I would say that you should just build extra weapons lockers to store more weapons. And Salvage, forget it. Way too low of a chance for the ammo drops, even when maxed out. You're better off with other cards. The Heavies cards, I think, are probably the most useless of the whole update. All of the Heavies' new cards have very specific conditions for them to be effective. 2 of them only kick in when your health is depleted. This would be completely useless on the higher difficulties, especially on later waves, when enemies are going to be one-shotting you from full health, never getting you into that sweet spot. Thick Skin does have some usefulness, I suppose, but really all of these new cards are outclassed by the heavy stock cards, which are always effective and don't require any conditions to be useful. The Scout's new cloak skill sounds pretty interesting, but it really is pretty vague though. How big of a damage boost do you get? How long does it last? And do you have to constantly keep cloaking to get it to trigger? Again, I would say that the stock cards that you already have are probably going to be more useful than that one. Dodge, on the other hand, is a pretty good card. It'll reduce your damage even further, stacked on top of the other health cards, so that you're able to stay alive longer on later waves. I can see this one definitely being useful. The Speed Loader one isn't really great, especially if you're good at active reloads. Plus, the active reloads on the Scout aren't as important as they are on, say, the Soldier, so it really isn't a great card. Again, I would stick with the stock cards here, really only maybe taking out Rage in favor of Dodge, especially for speedruns. And that's it! Well, you may be thinking, old Cyril, this was a bunch of bullshit. You don't even have half of these cards. How do you know if they're any good? Well, all the ones that I don't have that are commented on are only effective under specific conditions, whereas a lot of the stock cards I'm comparing them to are effective all the time. Simple mathematics tells us that something that's active all the time is more effective than something that's only active part of the time. There you go, more great advice from the elderly, even math lessons. Till next time, fare thee well, f***ers! If you enjoyed the video, please leave a comment and a like. It helps us get more exposure on the YouTubes. And while you're at it, why not subscribe? We put out shit like this every week.